getting out there and go, look what it is. They were on board. Before I came in, everything, like I was kind of skeptical, not even that, but like of my ability. But now I just, yeah, I'm confident in myself.
For me, it was, I thought going to the gym as a bodybuilder, trying to be big as possible, and it was a big priority, but I realized no, it's not. And I also realized that there's multiple parts of the game, and, you know, just going out and hitting, you know, every day or here and there, that's not fully taking account everything to the game. And it takes way more than just going out and hitting or going out to the gym just here and there. It takes, you know, taking time out of your day to really understand your mistakes, understand what needs to be done, understand, and just take video and learn what you could do better and what you're doing well. And I think just studying yourself and honestly other people and taking others' perspectives to really understand what is right and what's wrong and to better yourself as much as possible is really one of my biggest priorities. Before, I want to say I was about 225 deadlifting, and now I'm consistently deadlifting 315 or 3 plates for 5 to 6 reps. Okay. So that was nice.
Wait. Before you were 225, is that a 1 rep PR?
Yeah.
Dude, no way. That's insane. So we haven't done a 1 rep PR in a while?
Nah.
And to be honest with you, not needed, right? Not needed. So you gained at least 100 plus pounds on your deadlift.
Yeah.
Dude, let's go. What about your overall body weight? Talk to me about where you were before and now.
Before I was about 130, and now I'm nearing 145, maybe even 150.
Just knowing that how much I have come from, how little I used to be, now I'm really big, and people are saying, oh, you're looking big, dude, you're looking jacked, and it's like, that's a good feeling. And it's telling with all my matrix and stuff how hard I'm coming from, or how hard I'm hitting, and how hard, like, just everything is a great feeling.
I've talked about with you, definitely the consistency in the weight room and just overall consistency with my practice habits that I've gained. It's kind of given me that motivation and that inner drive to practice every single day, not just when I feel like it sometimes, and it's really helped me build up my overall strength and confidence going into my season coming up. Oh yeah, definitely squatting and deadlift side, I've gained a lot of lower body and upper body strength. I believe I was at around like 275, 280 for my deadlift when I very first started. I'm at around like 340 now, and I've definitely gained a lot through that. And for my squat, I want to say I was at like 220 maybe. Now I'm around like 280, so it's definitely gone up, and I've gotten.
Recruiting process for you before joining into the academy.
I was really nervous about it because I didn't know where to go. I didn't know really what to do. I've heard a lot of things from seniors at my high school. I've heard a lot of things from some of my friends. All just like, what to do this, do that, and I didn't really know exactly where to go. And I would say that was probably one of my also main points I joined the academy, was to find out how to conduct myself when going through the recruiting process. And I'd say like it's really mainly taught me from the academy is to leverage the schools around you and to leverage like the conferences, I'd say, and just all the connections that they have together and the people that the head coaches, to use your background knowledge of them to help you learn more about them and possibly get them interested in you. So I'd say I've gained a lot of confidence when it comes to that emailing part. Oh, it was easy. It was very quick, I'd say. The only part you really have to put that time into is gathering that information for the schools, but as soon as you have it, you just put it into the template and it sends it out for you. I've never really seen anything like it. So it's really interesting actually, and I really like it a lot, and I haven't seen anything like it.
Just share his stories of the kids asking him, what did you do? And his one answer was one word: Evan.
It's pretty much every possible number. When I've gone up, I was high 70s, and now I'm aiming for mid to high 80s. And hitting the same thing, I was high 80s off machine, and now I'm able to put some balls out in the mid 90s. It's been making me feel much more confident. Like now going into the season, I feel I have all the ability I need, and I can just play and trust that all the work I did will pay off.
Started working out, I was about 120, 115, about 160 now.
My EV was about 75, and my body weight was around 155, around that. Since I joined that, I'm up to almost 180 now, and I'm hitting 80s, around mid 80s.
That's right, or his workouts.
Do that. If you could get on and do what you said day in, day out, it's amazing. Like a game changer.
Through your program, I just realized like how much more I could learn. I could just feel the improvement over the course like of 4 or 5 months, like you said. I could feel the improvement myself. With you being able to supply me with this type of structure, I'm able to just learn for myself and learn how to improve by myself, which makes me feel a lot better as well as a lot more accomplished in the end.
It was a completely new experience for us. Yeah, I think we were skeptical. We dove into some of the content. We realized how good it was and the quality of it. The way that you kind of worked with him and you set expectations for him, and like, these are the things I'm expecting from from you, and that was a big part of why we enjoyed the program as well.
The program has made me like a little eagerness to think that I would do something and not just like wait for the team practice and do things on my own.
Infield velo was 68 or something like that. It was not good. My 60-yard dash was 7.7, which is not good. And I was not very mobile. I wasn't very strong. I mean, I'm a big kid, but a lot of it was just like from my size. My infield velo now is 80, and my 60-yard dash is 70.
It's insane. What was the root cause for all that?
I mean, I'd say it's a great program to like give you structure.
Welcome in. Hope everyone's having a great day today. Happy Mother's Day. We will be getting started here in a second. As you guys know, I always like to give a little bit of a buffer to make sure everyone can join in. We do like to start pretty promptly at the top of the hour. But if you guys want to, in the chat, in the Zoom chat, as you guys know, go ahead and put where you guys are calling from, just so I have an understanding. We are live also on Instagram, we are live on Facebook, and of course we are on Zoom as well. I'm going to be doing a Q&A at the very end, so just giving you guys a heads up. You can put your questions in the chat right now, and I'm going to be, of course, taking care of those questions at the top or at the end of the presentation. So we got Michigan in the house. Let's see, we got Los Angeles. Let's go. All right. And hopefully you guys can hear me and see me okay. We should be good to go. I'll give maybe one more minute. At 4:02, I'm going to be starting everything up, and we'll be ready to rock and roll. All right. Cool. Just want to make sure I have everything set up from my end, so I allow everyone to join in, most importantly. All right. Well, we will get started right now, and yeah, why not? Let's do it. So as you guys can see, this is the webinar on how we 2027s, hopefully a lot of 2027s in the chat, a lot of 2028s can earn baseball scholarships this summer. So let's get this show on the road. And the way that a lot of people might think it is, it's simply not. So you don't need to use a recruiting service like NCSA. There's not a magic pill or a magic drill for either you or your son to do, and all of a sudden you're going to be a D1 prospect, right? Also, relying solely on connections, in my opinion, isn't necessarily the best way of going about it. So I don't want you to fall into that trap. And I definitely want you guys to stick around into the end, because I have a free gift for families who want to stay into the end. Ultimately, I'm going to reward those that don't flake. And this free gift will make your 2027 or 2028 exponentially more attractive to these college baseball coaches. Think, Beatlemania, but for your player. And the gift will give college coaches a serious crush on your son, if that's okay with you. All right, so stick around into the end. So here's what we're going to cover as far as a quick little agenda. What most players never get noticed, and why. The 3 mistakes that's costing your player his shot at playing college ball. A proven 3-step system to fix this with real players and real results, and ultimately how to get our help if you're interested. So quick question before we dive in, just because I'm kind of curious on everyone and everyone's backstory, but just type me in the chat, of course, on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube, especially over on Zoom as well. Just type me if you have gone skydiving. I'm just curious, because skydiving is something that I'm really curious about, what that experience, that rush feels like. And if you have gone skydiving, that is awesome. I definitely will. Okay, we got Jackson who's gone skydiving. That is insane. Yeah, I don't know how I would feel about skydiving, but I know it would be pretty intense. So indoor skydiving. I've always seen those things. They seem pretty cool. So I haven't, but I can imagine it's pretty scary. So let's get into it, guys. My name is Evan Mendoza, and for the past 7 years, I played professional baseball between the St. Louis Cardinals and San Diego Padres, 3 years at the Division I level at NC State University, and I even appeared on World Baseball Classic representing Team Columbia, which is where my dad's from. And I was an overlooked high school baseball player, just like you or your son, and almost didn't make it. And I built the system I wish I had. So is this you? Are you a parent? Your player is a rising junior or senior? He takes the game of baseball extremely seriously. He puts in the work. He has big dreams and goals. And ever since he started playing, when he was about maybe 4 years old, picking up a ball and a bat in his hands, but he doesn't always listen to you. And you don't want baseball to end just yet. But most importantly, he doesn't want his career to be over in the next 1 or 2 years. Especially, a lot of this is going to be around those 2027s and 2028s. So keep that in mind. And you are not scared to invest in your son's future. So does this sound like you and your player? Still waiting for coaches to find your player. Don't know how to send emails to college coaches. Maybe you've sent a few and you're getting ignored. You feel like you're guessing through recruiting. Travel ball isn't turning into offers. You've been told, I'll help you out once or twice by college coaches with very little to no traction on what's actually being done. Showcases, but no real interest. Maybe it feels like you're starting too late and you're tired of wasting money on camps, which sometimes are money grabs that go nowhere. Feels like you're missing something everyone else is know, and scared your player is getting overlooked. But ultimately, you're trying to figure all of this out on your own. So stop that now, like literally right now. Because if your son was in 3rd grade and he was stuttering with a lisp, and you tried watching videos on YouTube on how to fix it, tired of, maybe you tried getting your English teacher to help him out a little bit more, and feel like nothing is helping, it might make sense to go to a speech coach or like a speech pathologist. And the reason why is because you don't want these things to linger. And that was me. I had a lisp around 2nd grade. I'm happy I don't have a lisp anymore, but my parents did take me to a professional to get these things solved. So again, stop what you can control today before things get worse. And you guys already know this, but around 7% of all high school baseball players ever play in college. So 93 out of 100 players never make it. Okay? And by junior year, most players are already behind, and they didn't even know it. And there are exactly 3 reasons your player is being overlooked. And number 1, training is just random. There's no structure, there's no plan, there's no metrics. Coaches recruit numbers, not the effort your son is putting into the gym and the extra work he's doing in the backyard. So think your exit velocity, your 60-yard dash time, your arm speed. If you don't know your son's numbers, neither do these coaches, right? And hopefully you or your son knows his numbers, because let's say you're in East Cobb this summer playing in a WWBA perfect game and you go to a Chipotle for lunch and you're in line right next to a few SEC and ACC coaches and you're in full uni, so they somewhat recognize you and ask your last name and then also ask what some of your numbers are. And you respond with, well, what do you mean numbers, right? They will internally laugh their face off and they will sit there like, I don't want to talk to this kid anymore. He doesn't even know what his numbers are. So I'm going on a limb here. Physical development, guys, is more than 95% of your guys' problems. You think it's recruiting, you think it's his mentality, you think it's politics, you think it's, all these other areas, exposure, blaming your coach, politics. Your problem is development 9 times out of 10. And if you don't see that, you're a little delulu, all right? Let me snap you into reality, because the average D1 fastball, it's around 90 miles an hour. The average D1 body weight, about 190 pounds. The average D1 60 time is probably around like 6'7", 6'8". And the average D1 height, probably around 6'1". But now let's look on the other side of things. Those were all D1 numbers. What about the shortest MLB player in last year, 2025? 5'6". That was Gustavo Campero. He was actually a teammate when I was on Team Colombia in the World Baseball Classic. Who was the lightest player in 2025? 145 pounds. Pretty light. That was Kirdo Montero, a pitcher for the Tigers. So now I have to be radically transparent with you right now. It's for your own good. If you thought to yourself, well, those are exceptions, your mindset is cooked. Be the exception, guys. Have that mentality that you will be the exception. So that's where we go into the mental game, because it is being completely ignored for most high school baseball players. Most players train their body, but nobody trains their mind like a muscle. And coaches don't just want good talent anymore. It's very competitive at the college level. They want players who can take the initiative on their own. This was Santiago. I don't want to wait for team practices. I'm eager to do the work on my own, right? That's pretty powerful in my opinion. I want to make sure also you guys are able to hear this as well, but this is a quote from Santiago.
that program has made me like kind of made me feel like a little like an eagerness to go out and do something and not just like wait for the team practice and do things on my own.
So like obviously this is Santiago. He's one of my very first students. And then also Pete, his dad said, as his dad, I can tell him until I'm blue in the face, something needs to be done. But you probably already know this, guys. Like that's coming from parent, not coming from a coach, not coming from someone else. And let's
As
listen.
his dad, I can tell him till I'm blue in the face that this needs to be done. And sometimes it doesn't resonate coming from the dad. Sometimes it needs to come from a pro ball player.
So obviously the recruiting is the next step because the mindset needs to be taken care of and recruiting is the last leg. So most families think showcases equals recruiting. That does not matter as much as it used to. College coaches don't discover players at showcases. They go to confirm players they already know about. And you're supposed to email these college coaches directly. And most families have no idea even how to do that. Most programs will give you drills, but we give you the overall system. The 3-step system that actually works. So I love this example because I think this puts things into perspective of what you guys will ultimately be really needing in these next couple of years, right? There's going to be a lot of people that, maybe focus on their hitting lessons once a week and you think that's going to be enough for the next few years. And I hate to break it to you guys, but no, like you have to do so much more than just hitting lessons every once in a while. You have to put yourself out there. So as far as like on the physical and recruiting side, let's say that you guys join into like an NCSA and you've got recruiting taken care of and you're going to hitting lessons once a week and you think your physical development is going to get better from 1 time a week, 4 times a month, right? But we're neglecting the mental game. We're neglecting the approach we need to have to be able to play baseball at the next level. But, let's say recruiting's being taken care of and our mindset's good. Well, maybe our physical attributes don't necessarily stack up to where they should be if we are a grad class of 2027 or 2028, right? We want to stack up against the competition in a positive way. But let's say, and this is probably where most players probably feel like they're at, their physical is being taken care of, their mental is being taken care of. Oh, recruiting is the last area because now we have a really solid baseball player that nobody knows about, right? So the triple play system is my program to give you guys some insights. The physical development is going to be more structured training programs written by a New York Mets strength coach. So that way you have trusted resources there. On the mental side, really understanding how to build that confidence. I hear that every single day from parents. How does my son build more confidence? And ultimately, he needs to have the foundation of the baseball IQ and the game within the game. Because if your son knows that failure is part of the game and he's inviting failure in, ultimately that means he's not scared of the failure. And I think a lot of high school baseball players are scared of the failure. You cannot be scared to fail in this game of baseball. You have to be aggressive. The last area, of course, is the recruiting strategy. Ultimately learning how to get recruited, get in front of these college coaches, have conversions, ultimately starting to communicate and coordinate with these college coaches in attendance, especially in this very critical summer ball season. So let's go one by one. Physical development. What we track and try to build is our 60-yard dash time, our exit velocity, our arm velocity, and position-specific metrics. Think like if you're a PO, obviously your spin rate, your tilt, your vertical and horizontal induced as a PO, those things matter. As a catcher, pop time, things of that nature. This is Jeremy, I believe that obviously his numbers were starting to move in the right direction. The reason that we can see those numbers move in the right direction is because every single week we are tracking with weekly check-ins. So that way we're able to see those areas of improvement actually improve. But then also, and then by the way, these are the charts that we like to track. But also if we see any plateaus, we modify the structure, we modify what we're doing in the gym, so that way we can break through those plateaus sooner. And a lot of you guys don't even do this because you don't even know where to start, right? And ultimately, we're going to test and reassess. So that way, we're constantly retesting, reassessing, again, to eliminate those plateaus. And this is all a root cause of the consistent feedback loop and congruency. And if you guys don't know what that is, basically having everything in one place helps out a lot. You can be stretched thin, and I've heard it plenty of times. I've been doing this long enough, where there are certain families that, and I kind of make a joke. There's one family in particular, holy cow. A hitting coach, a pitching coach, a fielding coach, a personal training, a sprint coach, a nutritionist. I made jokes of a sleep coach, right? Like there's so many different coaches pulling your son in so many different areas where who's really the right coach? Who's really the right mentality? Do all these people really help, or do all these areas and people confuse a young teenage boy? Let's be honest. If I had way too many resources, I would probably be a little bit confused on what's actually moving the needle and what actually needs to be done to get recruited, because that is the big goal. So as far as congruency, it's kind of like if you go to McDonald's and get a soda, right? If your favorite flavor is Dr. Pepper, but you get one of each, and then you taste that and you don't really like how it tastes, it's probably because you're diluting your philosophies, your approach, and ultimately it's so much easier to have that congruency in training, especially when we're trying to accomplish this big dream and goal of playing college baseball. So what if I don't have that much time to work out on like in-person lessons? Like my schedule doesn't impact your son's schedule. So easily rescheduling lifts and things like that, it's not that big of a deal. A lot of parents out there like really hate on remote training for whatever reason, maybe because it wouldn't work for you, the parent. Totally fair, right? But if your son's been lifting since probably 8th grade, and typically I like to work with sophomores and juniors. Right now there's 2027s and 2028, so rising seniors and rising juniors. He's been lifting for like 5 years now. He knows how to lift. He knows how to throw the ball and grip the bat, right? I'm not teaching the foundations inside my program. The foundations have already been set. What we're really trying to do is optimize and really fine tune that Ferrari, which is your son, right? On the mental development, this is the part that everyone skips, but you know, the part that college coaches will notice the most. So I like to also talk about just like accountability habits for yourself, because the way that you get out of the car going into a travel ball tournament, these college coaches will watch these things. They will watch how you treat your parents, how you interact with your coaches, how you interact with your teammates. Are you supportive? Are you sitting down? Are you slumping? Are you showing terrible body language, right? So like the mentality is the forefront of all of those things. Also, like how do we perform under pressure when it matters, when these college coaches are looking? How to handle failure like a pro. Like I said, guys, if you invite it in, you're not going to be scared of it. And ultimately being coachable, because you know this is what coaches actually want. I'm not going to read this whole thing, but like Mateo went through the program a little while ago, and I think it's just really insightful because he was talking about basically his journey, and he thought this was going to be a little bit of like, hey, a coach is always going to be there with him. And his transformation was like, hey, once I realized that this was going to be based off of my accountability and responsibilities, when I began to think about things differently. And ultimately having that independence, he made more decisions independently, development-wise as a player, and he thinks that the program has helped him out a ton with his confidence for himself, making his own informed decisions, which I think like this is what player development is understanding that you are in control of your own destiny and no one else is responsible for that. So now the last area is we don't want to be waiting to get discovered, especially if we're a rising junior or senior. We need to start recruiting ourselves. So here's the truth about showcases. Again, coaches go to confirm players they already know, and you need to reach out first. What actually will help get you recruited is emailing these college coaches directly with a proven template. And by all means, I want to define what a template even means first, because a lot of you guys probably think like, oh, you're just going to copy and paste and that. No, we're going to personalize each and every single one of our emails, because if you copy and pasted your job resume to a future employer, they probably are not going to pick you out of the stack of applicants. It's very similar to, job resumes for the parents that are watching. Also, your highlight video, this is your first impression. So again, if we have a bad email template with poor personalization and a terribly edited highlight video that maybe welcomes in those high school boys, think rap music in the background, like that's going to welcome in high school boys, not necessarily college coaches. So we need to make an impact for these coaches, ideally within 30 seconds. We need to also consistently follow up, guys. The follow-up is where the money is made in scholarships, guys. You have to understand that these coaches will respect your persistence in everything that you are doing. You also have to build a relationship with these coaches. It's very much so like dating. You have to build a relationship. You're not going to ask someone to marry someone on the very first date. You have to build a relationship before evaluations, after, and continue that relationship going forward. And our players will email college coaches within the first 14 days of joining in to the program.
So let me know when it changes. But you see my screen? Okay, I'm interested in who JT is. Now go look at your screen. Email clicked.
Wow,
Look at that.
So that means you've clicked links in the email.
Exactly. So this was one of my students, JT. That's the outreach system that I teach to all of my students to make sure that we actually get the real data on who's actually engaging with our emails, who's clicking on our emails, who's clicking on our perfect game profiles, and things of that nature.
I honestly love it. Like, I enjoy how I can see who clicked on my links that I sent out and who just clicked on the email and just saw who opened up my email. It's cool to know, like, there's colleges at such a really high level that are just clicking on my stuff. And I honestly think it's one of the best ways to get reached out from, like, reach out to your colleges for that. Like, I think it was awesome and how the sheets worked, and that extension was so easy and it helped. So, like, it literally took no effort for me to do that. I mean, I just had to personalize and research all the coaches, but that's about it. Like, it was super simple and easy, and it's probably the quickest way to get that much responses. And you can also see, who's emailing you and also who's clicking on your stuff. So I think it's awesome. That's my opinion on it, and I want to thank you for just sending me all that stuff and helping me out.
Yeah, so as you can see, this was Zach, by the way, having that system it's critical, guys. You can't go through these things blinded. This is Hugo, one of my students from Japan, believe it or not. Actually, Hugo's mom, Sayori. Coach Evan helped everything for Hugo. He went from confused and stuck to having a real plan, metrics moving, and coaches starting to reach out to him. So, and this is, by the way, my website. I think it's just really important to know, like, go to my client case study interviews. There's plenty of interviews. These are real human beings. I have a track record of helping high school baseball players play in college. That's why you're here. That's why you're potentially even considering possibly joining in to the academy and working one-on-one with me. So just, of course, there are resources out there to prove what's actually going on. So next up, I want to show you kind of like what's inside the program. So, like, every player will receive a dashboard with every metric and every coach and every step along the way. The training plan is the physical side, so having structured workout programs built around your son's metrics. The coach outreach system, so this is going to be, like I said, how to install that technical side of things so we can actually build out a strategy. The accountability, which is really Slack. If you guys aren't familiar with Slack, it's a free app on the App Store. Of course, your son would download that. He would have an invite link. It's very, very similar to like WhatsApp. It's very similar to GroupMe or Discord. Slack is an app. It's actually very, very common in the workplace. But basically, there's an invite link. Your son would join in. That would be the way that he would be able to text me, and I would be able to text him. Every Friday, I reach out to all my students for that accountability to make sure that they're actually staying the course on what they're needing to do. Also, for any questions, there's also Zoom calls that we'll schedule out throughout the program. But now what I want to do is I just want to share with you guys a little bit about the actual program. So you guys should be able to see my screen. Let me just double check. Okay, cool. So this is the triple play. So right here, this is the welcome area. It's the 14-day challenge. That will lay out rules, expectations, and next steps. Step one, this is basically one of the very first steps. So you'll go here and click link to document. Your son will be able to have access to this 14-day document. Really getting started up, again, that Slack community, that's that link. Post your welcome post, complete the 15-block exercise, the self-goal assessment, fill out your intro form, schedule your onboarding call. That should ideally be done in the first 48 hours. There's gonna be some sprint work as part of the 14-day challenge because we're not trying to go super, super crazy first 2 weeks. We try to build into that momentum. After we build out the outreach system and strategy, so there's like how-to videos built out on like how to grab the coach's email, how to write out personalized sentences, how to modify the email template, how to do the highlight video and all that stuff. And then of course, after all of that, we'll schedule out the launch call and we will click send together, which is obviously a really, really critical part. Inside the workout programs, there's gonna be the workout programs for May. There's gonna be mobility modules, sprinting routines. On top of that, there's gonna be classroom courses. So the college commitment blueprint are gonna be some templates, some follow-up templates, how to write the personalized sentences, the outreach strategies, how to edit the videos, the college video visit grading system, benefits of using even social media, the do's and don'ts of social media, maximizing those exposures, the 5 steps of engaging content, navigating social media in high school, how to handle post-commitment, how to find the emails for coaches. The velo throwing program and arm care course, I want to slow down because I'm talking a little bit too fast. But the velo throwing program and arm care course, so this is something that I actually used in high school between my sophomore and junior year, where I went from 82 to 88 miles an hour in about 3 months. So think, your son might be throwing 75. If we could jump from 75 to 83 in 3 months, I think you would be a happy camper. But also if your son's throwing 80 and in 3 months he could start be throwing like 86, 87. Like, I think you guys would be pretty happy. There's of course the arm care component, doing preventative exercises as well. The pro defense course, I like to refer to this as a college course on baseball. I also took some excerpts from the St. Louis Cardinals handbook on defensive play, and I want to share that with your son. So that can be that new level of attention to detail and really can set that standard for your son. As far as my teaching style, I use GIFs. So that way you can actually see what's going on. So like right here, I'll mute myself in this video, but you'll be able to see like what I'm talking about as far as certain feeling mechanics on what's actually moving the needle. There's plenty of things that I talk over up here in the top right. And then, certain routine plays. I'm basically walking through my mindset every step of the way. Beyond that, additional resources, I like to refer to this as the library of things that parents have said to their son, but I'm just going to reiterate it, right? So embracing personal growth, goals and nutrition, growth mindset and recovery, short-term goals, time management skills. Yes, you need to have that as a college athlete. And again, my program isn't necessarily a baseball program. I really want to emphasize that. My program is a personal development program disguised as a baseball program. So I really want to make sure that you guys have that crystal clear. That basically is everything on the portal side of things. The communication side of things, so that's going to be actually the Slack community. I'm not going to like share people's private communication with me. So just understand, of course, I have one-on-one communication with all my students, and there are no other coaches inside my program. So there's really two ways that I can help. Which one is right for your player? I don't know until I know your player, and that's why we hop on a Zoom call. There's one route done with you, and that's called the triple play, and that's really best for those sophomores building that foundation. I do work with freshmen as well. I do work with seniors as well. Every once in a while an 8th grader, but very, very rare. We give you the system and your son executes on everything with real coaching every step of the way. I'm not going to just like hand you off to a YouTube video or a PDF and say good luck. I'm there every step of the way to make sure everything can be taken care of in a timely manner. Now, the full ride framework, I don't want to spend more than like 2 seconds on this because honestly, not many people even qualify for this program. Your son's metrics have to be pretty awesome, and I will basically take the risk on my time putting your son out there in front of these college coaches. So it's done completely for you. The recruiting side is completely done for you. It's best for juniors ready to get recruited now, especially this summer. And I personally run his recruiting campaign with live dashboards that tracks everything. So that way you can feel in the loop on what's actually going on as well. We've been able to land multiple college commitments in the past 24 months of age eligible student athletes that we've worked with. And we've helped over 200 high school baseball players through the triple play system. So is this for your son? If he is hungry and coachable, this will be a good fit. If you're tired of wasting money on showcases, if you want a real plan, not more guessing, and you're ready to do the work together, this is not going to work. I'm going to be transparent with you guys. This is not going to work if you're looking for that magic button. If your player won't do the work without being pushed, you just want to complain about politics. And of course, there's a guarantee inside of our program. So if your son does not receive a scholarship in 12 months, you get 100% of your money back. Every single penny, only inside the full ride framework. That's when, again, we feel very confident in your son earning that baseball scholarship. And you really have two paths in front of you right now. Of course, the triple play and the full ride framework, but what can we do right now? So number one, we can do nothing. You can keep spending money on showcases and camps this summer. Another year goes by and you're probably going to find yourself in like August or September thinking like, where did the summer go? Why didn't we get the exposure we thought we were going to get? And your son's going to stay invisible, and then senior year will end or start up and there's still no plan. Or you can get the system with real structure, real accountability, real recruiting, commitments, and having a real shot at college baseball. So sophomore and junior years will fly by. Speaking from experience, I think a lot of you parents already know it goes by like a blink of an eye, and you don't want to be a parent who wishes they started sooner. So here's what can happen next. You can go to my website and schedule a call. What I'm going to do right here, just to make it easy for you guys, is I'm going to put it in the Zoom chat. And the very first step is you'll have an opportunity to schedule out a 5-minute quick call. After that 5-minute quick call, that can be just you, the parent. If it's the if you're a player, I see like Sean, you're listening in from the car. So like, if you want to schedule out a call, that's cool. Just make sure that your parents are nearby so like they can listen in on speaker and things like that. Just so that they're like not completely in the dark of what's going on. And after that quick like 5-minute call, the next step is to hop on a Zoom call with all financial decision makers and the player there as well. So ideally, if mom and dad are in the picture, mom and dad are required on that eligibility review, unless the call will be a 10-minute call and it's going to be kind of a waste of everyone's time. We're going to map out exactly on that Zoom call what your player needs. So you can go ahead and schedule that out. It is in the Zoom chat as far as that link. And here's again what's going to happen on the call. It's about a 30-ish minute eligibility review on Zoom. That's after this quick little 5-minute phone call. And you'll leave knowing exactly where your player stands and exactly what he needs to do next. You're going to be talking to me directly. And this is going to be a little bit of an agenda of how these calls typically go. So number one, I want to get to know you guys. I want to understand like what the gap is that I can even solve, because there are times where like players come to me and they have, or maybe they think they have everything figured out, and I can't help players that don't understand that there's a problem to be solved. Next, we're going to build out that custom game plan. I'm going to answer some of your questions as far as the program, and then kind of just walk through what those next steps would look like, whether it's joining into the program or not. Of course, we'll walk through which program fits best for your son, whether it's triple play or full ride. We're going to talk about the specific metrics that are holding your son back and his recruiting timeline, because ultimately these things matter a ton. We're going to also understand like what kind of target school list you guys could possibly have. And by the end of the 30 minutes, you'll have more clarity than what you've had all year. There's so much noise on social media from people that either number one, haven't even played a high level of baseball, or maybe got like a scholarship. They claim to have a scholarship at like the Division III level. And let's be honest, like there's no such thing as scholarships at the D3 level, right? So I can only accept players, by the way, who I genuinely feel like I can help. So if it's not a fit, like I'm going to tell you that too. So what happens if you guys don't book a call with me? Like you keep guessing on what your player needs. You're going to keep spending money on showcases, watch other kids commit, and then yeah, senior year is going to be over. The Zoom call, I know you guys will try to tell me how busy you are, but it takes 30 to 40 minutes. So I think we all have that. But you're going to know exactly where your player stands and have that custom plan built out, whether you want to take it or not, right? You're going to leave with that clarity and not more confusion. And there are spots limited because I'm one human being and I cannot simply work with 200 players. And I don't want to lie to you. The longer you wait, the further behind your player gets. And the longer you wait, I think some of you guys might remember, but about, skydiving. Some people might say when you're about to go skydiving for the very first time, especially those that have gone skydiving, remember this little analogy that I had in the beginning. Sometimes you might say, like, the longer you wait to take that jump, to take that leap, the scarier it becomes. Because sometimes families get scared to invest in their son because, they're uncertain if their son will do the work, or because they might have some doubt on what's to come or what the program, whatever the case may be. But I promise you guys, especially because I've been doing this for a while, when I speak to those seniors and they were given the opportunity to change their life and they don't take that opportunity, and senior year passes up, they graduate, and then they become a freshman in college, not playing baseball, they're going to have a lot of regret. I get DMs still to this day of like college freshmen and college juniors that never took the leap, and they have so much regret. They didn't take things serious sooner. So I would much rather you have doubt than having regret, and stop trying to figure these things out on your own. You're gambling with your son's future career. So again, guys, go ahead, book that Zoom call, or actually a quick phone call in the Zoom chat. Also, because I want to be true to my word, I did mention in the very beginning, for those that stayed, a couple of gifts. So if you go to my website, MendozaBaseballAcademy.com, and click on free content, you'll see how to email college coaches. And that is a very thorough 7-step course on how to get recruited. So I implore you to go through that material. It's 7 episodes. It is very detailed. If you still have questions about how to get recruited, the next step for you would be to hop on either a Zoom call or a quick phone call to kind of like see where everyone stands. But other than that, I do want to open up the floor to any questions that you guys may have. And we can kind of just go from there. And if you guys don't have any questions, that's totally cool as well. I can save my voice, and that will be that. Let's see if we have any over on Instagram. But yeah. I like to always answer questions over on Zoom first, because Zoom is typically where you guys signed up through the webinar. How is the structure for international players? So yeah, it's not really any different. The structure is basically, I have 2 students in Japan, one in Kanagawa, Japan, one in Tokyo, Japan. I have 2 students in Canada, one in Vancouver, one in Toronto, and then I have a student in Mexico City. So like, it doesn't really change anything. Location does not matter. Really just making sure that you actually develop on a structured plan. If it's more of a question that you're asking that, JD, as far as access to equipment, again, that's where we want to like highlight what you do have so we can be resourceful. And then we have that mindset of, okay, how can we actually do work without having X, Y, or Z? I think a lot of parents maybe resonate with that. Like your son might think he needs the fanciest gym to be able to do work. And I do not agree with that. Your son does not need the fancy stuff to get work in. If you have the willpower, the passion, you will do that work. Hey, I'm 6'5", baseball player who throws 86. I'm starting to lose interest in baseball because they still have me on JV, and I almost got cut last year. How do I work through that? It sounds like on the mental side, obviously the mental side is like very, very important, and I'm not sure that you've been addressing it. So it is an area that I would 100% focus on. All the coaches have kids on the team, and they're the ones that get played. What do I do? Yeah, ultimately, like you can use that as an excuse all throughout your entire career, that because politics, coaches' sons, whatever. But like if you're undeniably better than everyone else, you have some options. Obviously, like if you are undeniably better than everyone else, you're probably going to get the playing time you deserve. But let's just say you're throwing 95 miles an hour and undeniably better than everyone else, and you're not getting that playing time. Find another team, right? Like the more mental energy that we have towards, hey, it's politics, it's this or that. I had a call earlier today, guys. I think it's relevant, so I'll share with you guys. But I had a call earlier today that someone tried to tell me that it was politics on why their son wasn't playing. And I just completely shut that down. I asked, how hard does your son throw? And they said, 72 miles an hour. And I just kind of sat there, and I was just like, yeah, it's not, let me get this going. It's not politics. Your son just needs to be better. And right now he's not doing that, right? So there's just a couple of things that I think are just really necessary to understand. And a lot of the times, like you high school baseball players and parents don't realize like the amount of thought process you have with politics, with coaches' sons, with things like that. Like I'd much rather you just have that mindset of like, what can I do to fix it? So so should I quit high school baseball because I don't get playing time? So if it's the high school baseball program, I wouldn't necessarily quit your high school program because like you only have one high school. But like ultimately understand that like if we have the opportunity to either use our mental energy towards politics or towards getting actually better, I'd much rather you have that conversation on like, let's get better. Like that's what I want you to have that mindset on more than anything. Jackson, I'm 6'3" and I'm a bench player on JV, and that's only been pitching freshman. Do you think it's possible to go from sitting 74 to 78 to low 90s within 2 years? And I've also been batting 330, but I've gone nowhere. So you're 6'3". You have a great frame. I don't know if you're a freshman or sophomore, but you've been pitching on freshman. If you're 74 to 78, dude, in the next 2 years, so many things can, if you're a sophomore year, so many things can move in your direction. Like I was throwing like 82 around my sophomore year, so you're not too far off. But again, if you're doing the right work, it's only going to expedite that learning curve on how you can start throwing 90 miles an hour as soon as possible. And that's really like the goal, is getting close to that 90 mile an hour mark, because that's what ultimately helps you get into the conversation with these coaches. Hey, I'm the host of Baseball Talk. Can we do a collaboration? I would love to do videos, baseball tips on the youth players that follow my page. Yeah, shoot me a DM and we can kind of just go from there. Any other questions, guys? And again, like if you have questions, let me know. What do you mean build a relationship first? What does that look like? So ultimately communicating with these coaches before events, shaking their hands in person so they have some level of like understanding that that is the player that emailed me. After the event, email them again. Thank you for their time. Recognize that you guys met. And then like if you ever go to any tournament, you see them, you do anything like that, build that relationship, build the understanding that like, hey, I've had a track record of communicating with you. I'm not going to let you have the opportunity to forget about me, right? So these are the things that I think are just like really important that high school baseball players don't think about. I think to some capacity, parents will think about, but parents don't know where to get these things started. And parents don't want to be necessarily in the driver's seat in a lot of these things that we're talking about here today. Can you elaborate on personalizing emails to college coaches and what should you include in that initial email to the coaches? So yeah, real quick, basically the more copy and paste template that we use, the more you are going to make them mad. Let's just, tell you how it is. When you receive, I made a video on this and some people, I basically stirred the pot pretty well. When you guys receive those Alabama baseball camps in the mail, like the pieces of letter of Alabama camps or Coastal Carolina, how do you feel? Do you feel special? Do you feel important, right? Probably not, right? Because everyone and their mom, happy Mother's Day, gets one of those invite-only Alabama baseball camps. And they're probably trying to pack that out with maybe 400 or 500 kids. And the reason I know that is because University of Virginia did something very similar. I was, in a camp with 400 kids. It wasn't even at their baseball field. It was at this massive turf field. And there's some college camps that they are just trying to suck as many people in as possible, which is why they put so many pieces of letters out. So again, with the question of how can we personalize these emails, by personalizing them, right? Like we don't need to overcomplicate it. Like if we Google search them and we realize that they were, let's just say, they got drafted by the Red Sox in 2001, and in 2004 they hit a home run in their first ever big league at bat. Like, remind them of that, right? That's just going to make them feel a certain type of way while reading your email, and of course, it's going to show them that you did some homework on them, right? It goes a long way. Some of you guys might know who Mike Schilt is. He was the interim manager right after Mike Matheny with the St. Louis Cardinals. That's when I met him. He was the manager of the Cardinals for a couple of years, and then he became the he became actually the bench coach for the Padres. It was kind of funny because he was kind of like one step ahead of me always. But he became a bench coach with the Padres. I got traded over to the Padres, and then the next year he became the manager of the Padres. So I think just recently he stepped down from the manager of the Padres just over the offseason. Anyway, he introduced himself to me one day in spring training when he was with the Cardinals and shook my hand, and basically he knew everything about me. And I remember like, whoa, this guy did his homework, right? And that was the type of energy that he came across. Like, I don't care if you think I'm weird for doing all the homework. I did all the homework. I know everything about you. I'm coming prepared. And that's the type of energy he came into our relationship with, right? Because ultimately, like, he really made a huge impact in what preparation feels like, right? I was able to like rub shoulders with guys like, Tatis, Machado, Goldschmidt. Oh my goodness. Arenado, like preparation. I didn't understand preparation from guys like that, but I really understood preparation from the mental side of Mike Schilt, how he approached me. Some slap, minor leaguer that didn't really deserve the time of the day, but he came up to me specifically that day with like an intention and be like, hey, Evan Mendoza, you went to NC State. You're a good buddy of my Elliott Avent. You were a pitcher your freshman year, and then you transitioned. That's a really cool story. Like, he knew everything, and I was just like, whoa, wild, right? Really wild. We got Adam in the chat. Thoughts on playing for a D2 or D3 high school baseball program, standing out, playing varsity throughout versus playing in a top D1 high school and starting with JV. Always play on the better field if possible. If you can play on the field, that's the most important thing. So this dilemma always happens, especially with the conversation between like, oh, should I go D1 college or D2? Because at D2, I'm guaranteed to play. But D1, I'm not guaranteed to play. Well, no. We don't have the guarantee to play, whether it's at the D2 program or the D1 program. So need to get that through our mind. We need to make sure that we have that mindset of like, there's no guarantees in baseball. There's also a potential guarantee, right? Again, it's not guaranteed, but there's a potential guarantee that you or your son could go play at a D1 program, absolutely ball out his freshman fall and preseason and start as a freshman. So then what? That would be a really good opportunity, right? I always think it's better to be put in the same room as really competitive people than to be put into the room of not so competitive people. Let's get back to some Instagram questions. So I'm going into my sophomore year, and my goal for next year is to get on varsity, obviously. So my question is, how do I beat out the upperclassmen? You work harder than them. You are so much mentally mature than them. These are things that will ultimately help you get to that next level. For me, my freshman year at NC State, I pitched. I was a pitcher, guys, and it didn't work out. And about halfway through my freshman year, I really told myself, I am going to be the starting shortstop or third baseman the next year. And guess what? There's a senior in front of me. I'm a sophomore. I just transitioned from being a pitcher. There's no reason that I should have played, really. In my, a lot of your guys' mindset is, oh, well, the senior's always going to play, obviously. Well, if I had that mindset, I could have thrown in the towel right away. What would have that gained out of me in any way whatsoever? Because ultimately, I did work hard. The senior didn't work so hard, and it showed because he started off the season really, really poorly. And then I took advantage of that opportunity. They gave me one start, and I took advantage of it. You have to perform and put your money where your mouth is, guys. I went 3 for 4 that game. The next day, I went 4 for 4. The following day, I think I went 2 for 4. And looking back after 2 or 3 weeks after they gave me that first opportunity to start as a third baseman, I was hitting like, no joke, 700 in the ACC. Like, think about how wild that is. I was not going to give them an opportunity to consider taking me out of the lineup. Again, with the conversation I had earlier, make it absolutely undeniable that you don't play on that D1 school or whatever the case may be, or that you don't play, junior year on varsity. Make it undeniable for these coaches to make that decision. Hopefully that helps, Jackson. Let's get into it. JD, how are the weekly check-ins going to look like? Video analysis mechanics. So like the video mechanics and things like that, that's where students can send that video in to me whenever they'd like. There's no like limit on that. So that's where like if your son's working out in the cage, or if you're in the cage, you want to send over a video, you can do that whenever you want. The weekly check-ins are more like, hey, we had this task that we laid out. We wanted to do that. How's that coming along? Making sure that it feels like there's someone actually in the corner with you or with your son. There's also Zoom check-ins as well, like periodically throughout the program as well. So that's what that typically will look like. We got Scott in the house. We're finished up the webinar. We're on Zoom, we're on YouTube, and we are on Instagram right now. Probably like a good combined peak audience of probably around 30 on, I think, like 70 applicants. So I think, what is that show rate? 25 on, I think, 75. That's about 33% show rate. That's not bad. Looking to always improve that, though, without a doubt. Well, cool, guys. Cool. Any other questions as we're wrapping up? I didn't check. We do have some questions over on YouTube. I haven't looked over there. Kevin, how we doing? Evan, this is not me, but this is senior. Is the best on my team. I know average does not matter. He's saying like 410 with no offers. Average, guys, does not matter as much. Average is like that fluke thing that you could be batting against the school of the blind. That's not going to help you out as far as like hitting 700, right? If you're batting against Venice High School, which we were typically going against a lot at Sarasota, they're nationally ranked, obviously. I think they're like number 1. But really good baseball program in Venice, Florida, just south of Sarasota, north of like Fort Myers. But anyway, if you're hitting like 200, not 200, but like if you're hitting like 280 and you're constantly playing against competition like that, that's going to put you in a lot better of a position than if you're not, right? So just keep that in mind. Those little things matter. Your exit velocity matters a lot more than your batting average. And maybe that is why that teammate of yours does not have any offers, Kevin, is because he's hitting 410, but his exit velocity, max exit velo is like, 74, right? That's not going to cut it. Best MLB player, GOAT? Are you asking me, Evan Schmidt? I don't know if you're asking me or if you're calling me the best player. I'm definitely not the best player. So I'm not playing anymore. No, I was a pretty good baller back in the day, guys. I was known for my glove. I knew what kind of value I brought to my team. I think that's something that every single high school baseball player could learn from with my story, is just learning what you actually provide to your team. If you don't provide to your team much, find the one thing that you do extremely well. It could be base running. It could be fielding ground balls. It could be just being a really good defensive first baseman that picks everything. You could be a great blocker as a catcher, and that's the one thing you provide your team that you do better than anyone else. Perfect those areas, guys. I can't stress this enough. You have to understand what you provide to your team. That is one of the most critical messages I could leave with you guys. But like I said, guys, I'm going to go ahead again in the chat. I'm going to go ahead and put that same link. If you guys are interested in scheduling out a call, it's a quick 5-minute phone call. And then from there, after that would be a Zoom call. I put that over on Zoom. I don't know what link I send you guys to. Yeah. I think on Instagram, you might be able to click that link. I don't know how that works though. Cheers for Venice. I have a question and we'll post it here shortly. So yeah, I'm going to be wrapping up. So if you want to ask a question, feel free to ask. Probably going to only allow like one more question. So if you want to ask a question, don't ask me to ask a question. Just ask the question. But cool, guys. Yeah, this has been a great time. I typically like to do these every like 2 weeks. So just give yourself some clarity that probably in around 2 weeks, we'll probably do the same thing. And we'll just kind of go from there. While I have you guys, any other questions? Because I want to make sure that I'm taking care of you and ultimately just we're covering everything that we need to cover from your guys' perspective. Anything else in particular? Graham, how we doing? Well, cool, guys. Well, like I said, if you guys are interested in working one-on-one with me inside my remote training program, the very first step is to schedule out a phone call or a Zoom call. It's going to depend which page you kind of hit on. But, it'll say the time. It'll say either like 10-minute phone call or 5-minute phone call, or it's going to be a full-on eligibility review. If you go to my website, you might have the opportunity to schedule one of those out. That is a full block. Just keep in mind, obviously, this is there is a financial decision that will be made. We want to make sure everyone's on the same page. So like if mom's in the picture, make sure mom's on the call. If dad's in the picture, make sure dad's on the call. If you're co-parenting and things like that, anybody that's actually part of that decision-making process, just a reminder, we're not trying to waste anyone's time. Ultimately, let's just have an effective conversation. We're all moving in the right direction, so we can kind of go from there. Last question from Tarek. When should he stop playing all sports and focus on baseball? He's good at all sports, but needs to focus on one soon. So he doesn't need to focus on one soon. If he's a multi-sport athlete, that's totally fine. He can get away with that. Becoming more sport specific is more of a thing. I think that is becoming more prevalent nowadays with sport specific gyms and things like that. But college coaches, I can speak for college baseball coaches. I can't speak for any other coaches, but I know college baseball coaches love athletes that play multiple sports. It kind of gets their competitive juices going on like, no, we're going to steal this guy that's good at basketball and football and baseball. We're going to steal him away from these other sports. So it is a pride little thing, but I do think that college baseball coaches do feel that way. When you have a solid baseball player, first and foremost, you have to be solid at the game of baseball. And, obviously you're good and you're athletic in other sports as well, because that athleticism will translate over when you do become sports focused in college, which typically you only play one sport in college. I think I had one teammate at NC State who was a third string quarterback for NC State and also pitched for us. He didn't pitch a lot, but he actually later got drafted by the Marlins, which is pretty cool. So Cool, guys. Well, I'm going to wrap things up. I do appreciate you guys joining in. And like I said, if you guys are interested in scheduling out a Zoom call, feel free to do that right now.
See how he became more confident after talking to you every time. You are always there when he needs. I think it's really important to know or be told from someone professional like you.
It was a completely new experience for us. I think we were skeptical. We dove into some of the content. We realized how good it was and the quality of it. The way that you kind of worked with him and you set expectations for him, and like, hey, these are the things I'm expecting from you, and that was a big part of why we enjoyed the program as well.
The program has made me like a little eagerness to go out and do something and not just like wait for the team practice and do things on my own.
As his dad, I can tell him till I'm blue in the face that this needs to be done. And sometimes it doesn't resonate coming from the dad. Sometimes it needs to come from a pro ball player.
Through your program, I just realized like how much more I could learn. I could just feel the improvement over the course like of 4 or 5 months, like you said. With you being able to supply me with this type of structure, I'm able to just learn for myself and learn how to improve by myself, which makes me feel a lot better as well as a lot more accomplished in the end.